I thought it's easier to go back to something you know when you want to work than to start with something new. My dad sort of presented me with three choices that I could qualify to be. He said you can be a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer. For me, as a foreign student, my dad was paying foreign fees. It's a lot of financial investment, time investment. So yeah, I think you think, I've invested all this time and money, and do I want to just throw it?
Welcome to the Growth Uncensored podcast, where we pull back the curtain on entrepreneurship, exploring the messy, honest, behind the scenes stories of growing a business and growing as a person. I'm your host, Sheila Krabenborg, and I'm here to hold space for your growth. My guest today is Rawia Liverpool, behavioral change coach, counselor, and founder of Recipes for Change. Before building a practice rooted in emotional well being, Rawia spent years in pharmacy in a world of formulas, structure, and certainty. But somewhere along the way, she realized that the kind of transformation she was most drawn to wasn't happening in the lab. It was happening in people, in their minds, their stories, and their inner conversations. That realization changed everything. It led her to retrain in transactional analysis and NLP, and eventually to create Recipes for Change, a space where she helps people navigate anxiety, identity, self worth, and belonging. In this episode, she will share how her multicultural upbringing, personal healing, and late career reinvention shaped the work she does today, and what it really looks like to build a business from self awareness rather than strategy. Rawia, welcome to Growth Uncensored. I'm so honored that you agreed to share your story in our podcast. You have such a rich story. You've lived across several countries: Ghana, Lebanon, Oman, the UK, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
Now the Netherlands.
Yes, of course, now the Netherlands, where we met at a buzz networking event in The Hague.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, and you were the speaker at that time
Yes.
too.
Yeah, no, it was lovely to meet you then. And
Yeah.
thank you for having me as a guest here, Sheila.
Let's start from the beginning, Rawia.
Mm-hmm.
You started your career in pharmacy.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. It's a
I was,
field that's all about precision, structure, and
yeah.
helping people in a different way, in a very practical way.
Actually, as a child, this is what's interesting is as a child, I always knew that I wanted to help others somehow,
Mm.
others to feel better. And maybe that was connected indirectly to my own experience, but I wasn't aware. I just knew I wanted people to feel better. And when my dad sort of presented me with three choices that I could qualify to be, he said, you can be a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer. These were my choices. And in that time, that was what was seen as respected and a good profession. So lawyer, no, didn't appeal to me. Engineer, no. Doctor, I thought, doctor, you help people. That sounds like me. So I set out to actually do medicine and become a doctor. And then
Oh.
life took me eventually to the UK because of the civil war in Lebanon. That was not in the plan. And when I arrived to the UK, the system of education was different. The culture was different. All kinds of things that you had to sort of face and adapt to. I still was on the path that, okay, I wanted to do medicine, but I was a foreign student. A limited number of seats normally are offered at university for foreign students. It was a very popular study, so not very competitive. And I wasn't prepared for the system of interviewing and how to enter university. So I didn't actually excel as
Mm.
expected. And also another thing happened personally is my cousin with whom I grew up with died unexpectedly when we were 17.
Oh.
So my whole idea of taking care of someone as a doctor, and if they were to die, how would I feel emotionally? So everything around becoming a doctor changed also for me on an emotional level.
Yeah.
So I started doubting whether that's what I wanted to do. And because I had invested in the subjects relating to medicine, my dad said, how about doing pharmacy? It's really connected. It's the same subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And also with his way of thinking from that generation, he's like, oh, I'm a woman. It offers me more flexibility when I become a mother. So that's how I ended up becoming a pharmacist, a kind of roundabout way of, and I worked in the field for a long time and I thought I was happy, Um, but within pharmacy, I remember that clients would come when we were explaining, the use of drugs to them, and they would ask me questions that were not related necessarily to the medication. They felt comfortable talking to a pharmacist. They found us more approachable than doctors. So often it was touching on certain personal stories,
Mhm.
um, and I didn't mind that. I really wanted to help, and I found that part of the job really interesting. But
Oh,
yet, it was not pharmaceutical.
yeah.
But still, I wasn't aware that I'm in the wrong profession.
Yeah. So when did you start to feel that maybe pharmacy is not in alignment with me anymore?
We started moving around. I got married to my ex-husband who was working for Shell, and the position was, to relocate every few years. And naively, I thought that, being a pharmacist, you can work everywhere. The first move was to the Netherlands about 32 years ago.
Okay.
And I thought, I'm qualified in Europe. It's easy to just come and work in the Netherlands. But of course, I realized it's a different language. Even though I'm qualified in the UK, which is a European country at the time, I still needed to accredit my qualification, get myself recognized in the country here, which took time. So yeah, suddenly I realized it's not as flexible as I thought to move around and just work. And also in the same period, I realized that I was pregnant. I was here for 10 months. I got my qualifications, accepted, but then we were moved to Scotland.
Wow.
So in Scotland, I sort of did a kind of temp work. So when
Okay.
somebody needed a pharmacist to cover for a certain period of time, I would cover because I was a parent then and I wanted to be with my daughter. And my ex was working offshore sometimes. So that temping sort of work, fitted my lifestyle at the time. And then we ended up in Oman. We moved again.
Okay.
Now, these moves, of course, are challenging. First of all, I left my work
Yeah.
to move somewhere else and try to carve, and find work. So that's a challenge, adjusting to a new culture, new country. I became a mother. That's another challenge, parenthood. And then we were moving countries. That's
Yeah.
another challenge.
Yeah.
Marriage is also a challenge.
Yeah.
But I never stopped to address these things. I always like, get on with it, get on with it. That sort of and eventually, I think in Oman, after the birth of my second daughter, there was a personal crisis in my life and it was too much. So I felt really that I was sinking into depression and wasn't functioning well, and I really
Yeah.
wanted to be present for my daughters. So I went to the GP and I said, I need help. I really want to be able to get up and, be there for my children. And I'm very depressed and you need to help me. And that's how I came sort of face to face with mental health.
Mm.
So the GP at the time gave me a medication, which because I'm a pharmacist, I refused to use. I thought, I haven't done anything else. I'm not going to just straight away medicate before I tried, different avenues. So I didn't use it. And he referred me to a psychiatrist. And when I went to the psychiatrist, he realized that my issue was not clinical,
Mm.
or sort of social. So he recommended that I see an NLP coach.
Okay.
And I had never heard of NLP before, but I was so desperate that I was willing to try anything.
Yeah.
So I went to see this NLP coach, and that's how I came across NLP.
Mm.
And I remember, like, after a few sessions, I was changing. My perspective on the world was changing. And I thought, this is interesting. Why didn't I know this when I was younger? I would really
Yeah.
like to learn more about this.
They don't teach you at school.
No, they don't teach you at school. So that's how when we were moved to the Netherlands 75 years ago, I decided I wanted to study NLP, and I embarked on this for my own personal development. I didn't think I would be working.
Mm.
And when I came here and I wanted to work, I thought the easiest thing to do is to go back to what I know, which is pharmacy. So although I was developing myself in NLP, I didn't think I would work with it.
Yeah.
But the idea of like, this is interesting already started. But I thought it's easier to go back to something when you want to work than to start with something new. So the seed to change profession already was there, but I still was looking for pharmacy work to navigate from that into something else.
Yeah.
So I started working as a pharmacist. I eventually found work part time with the Hague International Health Center.
Hmm.
And then on the side, I was sort of doing this NLP.
Okay.
And then friends noticed the change in me. So they were saying, oh, this is interesting. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And I thought, oh, I really love,
Doing it.
working with others and doing it. And why don't I turn it into a profession. And as I enjoyed this sort of coaching side to me, I started noticing less and less that pharmacy is not
Mm,
my passion.
okay.
So I thought, oh, why don't I actually leave pharmacy and start something new?
Yeah.
So it was quite a big step.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Um,
some people have that problem. They go into, because we are all handed this blueprint by society of what success looks like, right? You
yes.
get a degree, get a job, get promoted, get
Mhm.
the corner office, and
Yeah.
that's success.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult for them to let go of a job that they've been doing for so long. I call it the golden handcuffs. They're handcuffed to their desk because it's something that's secure,
Yeah.
basically.
You
So
also invested in it. Like,
yeah.
for me as a foreign student, my dad was paying foreign fees. It's a lot of financial investment,
Mm,
time investment. So yeah, I think you think, I've invested all this time and money, and do I want to just throw it away? Am I
yeah.
doing the right thing? And when you start on your own, you have no idea. Working for
Mm,
yourself, I mean, really, when I look back, I was naive. Maybe I'm still also naive. I think I'm driven by my passion
okay.
rather than practicalities of me succeeding financially, or like what fires me up is making a difference even for one person.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say financially, wow,
Mm,
I broke through. So sometimes, yeah, it is quite a big step. And I
yeah.
do really remember the day I was going to have a car, that sort of chamber of commerce in English, to register my business. I was literally Sheila trembling
Oh,
and asking myself, am I doing the right thing?
is this the right path?
Is this the right path? Am I crazy? It's a lucrative job as a pharmacy. It's a sure thing. You're
Mm,
employed, you get paid. Am I doing the right thing?
yeah.
But
Exactly.
still something just propelled me to
Mhm.
continue.
Yeah.
And I never regretted it. I haven't regretted that change. And then later I've added the counseling qualification because once I was in this world, I came across a lot of other things that I thought were interesting and complement what I already did. So then I also did the training with transactional analysis to become a people practitioner and added that to my sort of toolbox, so to speak.
Yeah. I like that. I
Yeah,
think some of our audience also are just at the point of their careers where they're just starting out. So for them, success basically, they don't know what success looks like. Success means what society said it was. Like, okay, you have to have this amount of money by this time. It's more monetary gains, isn't it?
yeah,
Financial gains.
yeah.
So when you were young, can you remember what success meant for you before versus what it means to you now?
I think when I was very young, it meant getting the grades at school
Oh my
because
gosh, Asians can relate to that.
I grew up in a culture, like my dad didn't finish his education. So he really valued education and he saw it
Mm,
as a gateway to making yourself and being independent. And to a certain extent, he's right. When you have a qualification, you can always find work. It does help. It's not really a myth, but he valued it. And it was very important that you did well at school.
yeah.
So for me, my goal is like to get those grades.
Mm,
So that was my focus, to pass every year at school, to pass my degree. We did the baccalaureate system in
yeah.
Lebanon at the time. Then when the war hit and we moved to the UK, it was a different system, A levels. Also, actually, before that, when I was 14 and the civil war happened, we had to move temporarily to Ghana for 3 years.
Okay.
That was the first time when I had to sort of move schools and enter the different system of education. And every time I moved, I lost a year academically.
Oh my
So the
god.
system was different. Um, and you had to adjust. So they felt, oh no, you need time to adjust to the system. So I lost 3 years in total academically with the moves, because of the war from Lebanon to Ghana and from Ghana back to Lebanon
Yeah.
and finally from Lebanon to the UK.
Okay.
So I think at that time it's just making it through, passing my exams, passing my university. And then the next thing was getting a job, getting employed. You've invested and you have a degree. Now it's, getting a job and working and being financially independent. So it was maybe a limited view, but that was it really. It's just to make it and be able to be financially independent. So my dad doesn't have to spend on me
Mm,
anymore and take care of myself.
yeah. I can totally relate to that because my dad also didn't finish his education. He only finished second grade.
Yeah.
because, financially, my grandparents couldn't really send him to school. So what he did was he worked as a construction worker and then built his own furniture manufacturing business. So he did really well. He still has the business up until now, 30
Yeah.
years later.
Great. Yeah.
And so what he would like us to have is to have the diploma, the degree, because he never had any sort of diploma all his life. He didn't finish elementary school, high school,
Yeah.
university. So that's my definition of success, I think, when I was young, even though I dropped out of school at 18 years old
Yeah.
because I started freelancing online, and I think the teachers couldn't understand what I was doing. Why are you working and studying at the same time? It's
Yeah.
because I lost my scholarship, so I need to fund my own education.
Yes.
And I think he felt really disappointed at that time. No matter how much money I was making,
Yeah.
my dad always felt like I was a failure because I didn't have the degree. So I went back to school and get the paper, but it didn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is more for him. And that's the thing. Sometimes really we live a life that is not to do with our own values, but more values we inherited
Mm,
from a past generation. And often it's to do with their story, what was missing for them.
yeah.
And then somehow, without them realizing, they push that on us.
Yeah.
And we have to fulfill a dream that they dreamt, but it's not our dream.
Yeah.
And often
Exactly.
we never pause to think, why am I doing this? Is it
Mm,
really what I want,
yeah.
In some
Exactly.
way, thinking I want to become a doctor and then becoming a pharmacist was something indirectly to do with the previous generation, And I worked in it for some time and there was no, I wouldn't say there's a waste. You always learn something from that profession, especially if it involved counseling doctors, counseling patients. So those skills were already there,
Yeah.
even though I wasn't like counseling for mental health or emotional well-being.
Yeah.
So I don't feel that anything we do in life is lost. We do learn something from it,
Mm.
but it doesn't mean we can't change or reinvent ourselves. That possibility is there.
You've registered in Kavika. Was it in 2012 then you started?
Yes, in 2012 I started the Recipes for Change.
Mm.
So April, I think.
April. Okay.
It was April, and April happens to be my birthday month as well.
Wow. Double celebration.
I think it was March, April, that sort of time. Yeah.
Okay. What was your vision like for your business back then, and how has it evolved to
Yeah.
now?
At that time, I thought that my clients would be women like me at the time who, because of their spouse's career, ended up leaving their own career, moving around, and somehow losing their sense of self and identity and self-development, and wanted to get back because that was like a bit what happened to me. I sort of followed, lost track, reinvented myself, didn't know what I wanted to do, and then got back somehow on track. And I thought these would be my clients.
Yeah, I thought these were your clients actually.
Well, I thought at the time it would be people who are not working, who want to get back to work.
Yeah.
But I actually was getting people who were working.
Okay.
So people who were working, having struggled with certain issues at work, maybe with the
Mhm.
boss, maybe with colleagues, all
Maybe
wanted
internally as well.
internally. I mean, like I said, they always come with an external issue, and then you look at it. So that was the first things that I was getting, not the clients I thought I would get
Yeah.
at the time. And then as I studied the transactional analysis and qualified as a counselor, also that the audience changed,
Mm.
because it also brings change for you because when you qualify in these psychological approaches, you have to also undergo therapy yourself as part of the qualification because I can support somebody else if I'm already struggling with things myself,
Mm.
and then I can entangle them with my own story because I haven't resolved my own issues.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you do therapy. So of course, therapy also changes you because you resolve trauma. So I also changed and grew and became somehow a changed person. And I noticed that I started talking about certain things that I didn't talk about before. Like I never talked in the past about the racism and discrimination I faced. I didn't talk about being multicultural, being mixed heritage. So as I shared about these challenges, I also attracted a different kind of audience. So then I was getting younger people who came from mixed backgrounds, who also struggled with their identity and with belonging. And they saw themselves or parts of themselves in my story. So that's also something I didn't expect. I'm not a trauma qualified counselor, but I'm trauma informed
Okay.
because of having worked with my own trauma and resolving it. And also, I realized that almost always when I work with a client, there is an element of trauma in their past. And trauma doesn't have to be a big thing. Sometimes it's a small thing, but it has impacted us so powerfully that it affects our life. So I realized that whether I choose to or not, there is an element of trauma resolution in my work.
Okay.
So I try to also educate myself more in that realm because I feel if it's coming to me and people feel comfortable to open up about these stories, then I
Mhm.
want to be able to support them better. So I try to
Yes.
also see where there is a gap, where am I lacking, and add to that. So I work with the majority is women, but I also do work with men.
Okay.
The age group is anything from 23 to 63.
Okay.
So it's an age range. And often I am always told, oh, you need to focus like when you market or talk about yourself, you need to focus.
Your
Yes,
ideal target market.
yes. But I find it difficult to do that because I get such a range
Yeah.
of clients that I think, what shall I is it 25? But I do see 60, 65. Is it women? But I also see men.
Yeah.
Is it only about anxiety? But I actually work with identity and belonging
Mm.
and other issues. So I find that difficult to narrow down.
When you started in 2012, imagine 2012, Facebook is already up, I think.
No, that's interesting. Social media was not big then. I
Okay.
did not have an Instagram account. Let me
There
think.
were no ads yet,
There
whatever.
were
Or
no ads. There was no Facebook pages at the time. I did have a Facebook, but it was like a social thing.
yeah, it was a
And
social
I don't
thing.
think LinkedIn existed either then.
Okay. Yeah, I think
I
so.
believe it didn't exist. So I had a website and I used to go to network events and things like that to get known. And word of mouth was how I
Mm.
got clients. And then something happened also in my personal life, that demanded my attention as a mom. So I devoted more time to my daughters. Also, my
Yeah.
relationship was my marriage was going through a crisis.
Mm.
So I, of course, it took away my attention from my work.
Yeah.
Things quietened down. And then I thought it's okay. My time is needed for my personal life,
Yes.
I'll get back to it and rebuild it
Yeah.
when I'm ready.
Yeah.
So when I did come back to rebuild it, trying to remember what year that would have been. I don't know if it was like 2015. I can't remember.
That's okay.
Some time passed and I came back. And by the time I came back, social media had exploded with Instagram, LinkedIn, with all that. And I thought, oh my God, I need to learn all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because now marketing and, it's a different story.
The change was drastic too, wasn't it? It was not gradual, and all of a sudden,
I
everybody
learned,
was on Facebook.
yeah, I learned how to do Instagram, how to do LinkedIn, created a Facebook page. It was all new. And I thought, oh my God, I'm a dinosaur. I don't know how to started blogging. I didn't blog before.
Oh
I
my God,
learned how to
yeah.
blog. And it was, I loved the creativity behind it. It was a challenge, but I also enjoyed the creative element of it.
Mhm.
And I discovered that I really love writing. I didn't know
Okay.
before. So I really love writing. So yeah, it was a different, it was a different, it was the same business, but different,
Yes, it
you
it it
know?
was the same business, but a whole different, I don't know, generation. It's not a generation, but it feels like a different environment.
Yes, things have changed, really. And then
Yeah.
also we were hit. I never worked online. I always worked in person. And then we were hit by Corona.
Yeah, 2020, a different
And then there was the
struggle.
lockdown. And again, I came to a standstill because I worked in person and that's it. We were in lockdown. Nobody saw anybody. And I was very resistant in the beginning to the idea of working online because I thought, oh, I need to have the person present. It
Face to
doesn't work,
face.
And then moment came and I thought, if I'm not gonna be
Change.
flexible, yeah, be flexible, open my mind to different possibilities, then this is the end of it,
Yeah,
So
exactly.
then I sort of thought, okay, let's try. Let's see if I can find a creative way of how I can do this online. And
Mm,
then, I did. The majority of my work is still in person because people really like it. And I still favor it more.
yeah,
Yeah.
of
But
course.
but it's possible to also do it online.
Oh,
I've learned creative ways of how the things I do in the room, I can actually explore on the screen.
okay.
So in some way, when you face challenges and you overcome them, you also grow and develop yourself.
Yeah.
And you add to your skills. So yeah, that is also another change that we went through.
Yeah. It was a good change too because I feel like before Zoom was not really as advanced at this as it is now. Nobody knew Zoom.
Also, it was free. Now they make
Now they now you need to pay for it. They need to make money off it.
they realize it's popular. And I mean, really, what I find funny is the word Zoom for me only meant zooming in, zooming out.
But now it's a whole different meaning to the word Zoom. It's an app where people can talk online or do business now online. How did that period of pause or reentry change you as an entrepreneur? Did it change your perception about like, okay, I have my business, but I also have my family?
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, all throughout life, my priority was family.
Family.
Because I always say if your personal life is not going well, it will impact your professional life. We can't keep them separate. It's an illusion when we say, oh, these are separate. If you're not happy and something's bothering you on a personal level, it will spill into your professional level. And if something is not going okay in your professional level, it will spill in your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that you pay attention to both. And I think we should start with our person. So always my priority was the family first, my personal life first. And also, I think I owe it to my clients
Yeah.
to be okay personally before I work with them.
Mm.
Because when I want to sit with a client, I want to be fully present with them. I don't want to be distracted by some issue in my personal life. So that's why we have therapy in place when you are working. We have supervision in place when you work in order to take care of that personal life and make sure that we're in balance and everything's fine. So we can conduct our work with clients ethically.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, if things were overwhelming, then yes, it's best that I take a break
Yeah.
from the work because it's not fair on my clients if I'm not there present fully with them.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
also as coaches, counselors, therapists are human beings. We also have our stories and our issues. I mean, it's not like we are a robot and we deal with nothing. That idea of like we figured it all out is rubbish.
Yeah.
We are human and we deal with things every day. And sometimes we can use that to support our clients and ourselves rather than pretend, oh no, I've got it all figured out. So often when I write posts or share, I also share that human side of work. In the same way my clients struggle with issues, I also struggle.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's nice to work with somebody who is disconnected from your personal life, who can observe
Yeah.
more balanced, can look at your life in a different way than you would
Yes.
yourself, because there's that
Bias sometimes.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to end this episode with the name that captures everything that you do so beautifully. Recipes for Change. Why Recipes for Change? What does that name mean to you personally?
The way it came to me is like when I told you that in my 30s, I had this crisis and then I ended up seeing this NLP coach and I started, changing. It really felt like someone had given me a recipe for change. And then I liked cooking in that
Yeah.
time. And I sort of realized how food brings us together.
Yes.
So something around the recipes, I thought, oh, they really apply in everything in our life. There's a recipe for cooking, but there's also a recipe for a change in ourselves. So that idea of like, oh my God, I feel like somebody gave me a recipe for change stayed with me from that time without thinking that I'm going to use it in my work.
Yeah.
Later, when I started, I thought, yes, this feels right. And some people discouraged me from it because they said, oh, people, when they look at recipes, they always think about food, that nobody's going to realize it's to do
Oh, I love the
uh,
name. It
with,
immediately clicks
with
to
like
me.
mental health and emotional being. But the funny thing is that I got clients because they looked at it and they thought recipes and they were interested in cooking. And they looked at my
I'm
card
interested.
and they thought, oh, this is interesting. It's something else. I need this.
You're
You know?
targeting a different audience now.
That's what I find amusing, that I actually got clients because they thought it was food and they realized it's something else and they thought, I need this. But that's how it started, you know.
There you go. Another change. Thank you so much, Rawia, for sharing your story. Your journey is a beautiful reminder that reinvention has no timeline and that growth begins the moment we decide to live our own story. We make the recipe for change.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Thank you so much for your interest, Sheila, for listening, for questioning. I really enjoyed the conversation.